I'm Sam.
And I'm Sam.
And we're the Sams.
We are the Sams. And folks, we're coming to you live in October.
Yes, I know you missed us. Life be lifing sometimes. But we are here and we are back.
And it's fall.
Yes.
The best season of them all.
As he would say.
Ain't that right?
You only get 2 weeks of it, though.
And that's probably why you have to, the feeling is so, the appreciation.
Right.
Because it doesn't last long. You know, anything you get a lot of, you fail to appreciate.
This is true, but, we used to have, a month of it. Now we got summer, winter, and fall mixed in 1 week. If you in Philly.
You know what? They came out with grown-ish and black-ish. Now it's fall-ish. So we have a fall-ish season.
Yes, but I'm all for it. You know, sweaters, autumn colors.
Yeah. So Samantha, look, we're gonna kick things off, folks, and we're actually gonna do an icebreaker from one of our Sam's Community Connection cards.
Okay, I'm excited.
Here it is. Ready?
Ready.
Name one thing you learned about yourself during the pandemic.
Oh, okay. One thing I learned about myself during the pandemic. It's funny. I'll answer the question, but I was just thinking about the pandemic earlier today, getting ready, and, take out, all the people dying, but we had DJ Nice, we had Versus, and I just felt like, there was a time where it's just like, ugh, we gotta get out of this house. But there were moments where it was just like getting connected, having family time, having to have it.
Yeah.
But there were just times where it's like, it was fun. Or not fun, but...
Sure, no, I get it. I mean, listen, I think it shows how resilient we are, right? The fact that DJ Nice, it's funny how you're talking about being connected, because that was one of those first experiences where you didn't feel isolated anymore.
Right.
Club
with everybody.
The whole time you're just in your own silo, and for the first time you can see other people, and you're seeing other people comment. It's oh wow, all these people are physically doing the same thing I'm doing, and so it's that alone, you feel a connection. And so I think that was pretty cool. But what did you learn about yourself?
Right. So I know.
Yeah, we made the most of it.
Coming back to the point.
Right.
What did I learn about myself? I learned that okay, fine. I learned that everything isn't permanent. Friendships, work, just even getting the bread that you like, nothing.
Bread. Don't say about money, guys.
Right, the things that are usually a constant, or you think that will always be there or be the same. Everything isn't permanent.
I like that.
Okay.
So.
Put on the spot.
Right. Well, it's an icebreaker, just to kind of get you loose, I'll answer the question as well. So I will co-share the spot with you.
Okay.
Right? I'll never put you out there by yourself, baby. What did I learn about myself in the pandemic? It's funny, I wrote some things down, not because of that question, but just in terms of the conversation I wanted to have.
Yes.
And as I'm looking at the question, I'm realizing sort of where it originated. And I think it did originate some of these concepts around in the pandemic. And I think the one is about, so it's what I wrote down, and this was in March of this year. And I know that when I thought about it, it had to do with something very separate. It had to do with relationships. But you're not always compatible with what you desire, but you're always compatible with what you require. So even in thinking about the pandemic, there were a lot of things that were part of our lives that we didn't need. And when things were stripped down to the core functions of who we needed to do, or what we needed to do just to operate,
right,
there's where you hone in on your actual requirements. And the things that you desired were no longer, they weren't available to you, and you still made it through, right? And so you realize that. So when I say compatibility, so it's not 100% applicable, because in this instance, it's not suggesting, it's not necessarily sort of like you're offering a use case of how being removed from the things that I desired caused other issues. I think it's more about the fact that I was sound as a person, like I was secure in myself, and realizing that like I don't need a lot of this extra stuff to thrive and survive, and even just, I mean, but even to thrive, it's almost like when you think about food, right? So my kids, they love snacks. In fact, they love snacks so much that they'll ask for snacks before they're finished actually eating dinner. Like while they're eating dinner, science will be like, "Can I have some snacks?" And you just look at his plate. It's like you're not even finished eating yet.
Right.
But in his mind, he just wants something else, right? But what we know as parents is that you need that foundation first, brother. Like you can't just start snacking on stuff to fill your belly before you actually put in what your body requires.
Right.
The nutrients, the
right.
things that allow you to actually function and grow strong so that you can retire us in about 13 more years, okay? The snacks, the stuff on the periphery that you like, yeah, it has some value in terms of like how it makes you feel, but your body can't rely on it. And so I think it was the reality of what my body and my mind and my life really relied on, as opposed to what I would go after. And then once I realized that those things actually, not only were they not important, it got to a point where I didn't miss it, And so it's like, okay, that's fascinating. So what can I then fill that time with?
Right.
And there's where the matters of our heart really kind of came into focus, because now you have a void, and the things that we filled our void with was Sam's community. What I realized about myself in the pandemic ultimately was purpose. Like, this is the time I gotta do what it is that uniquely makes me, because the way I've been functioning, it's been part of a system where everybody was participating in, thinking we needed to operate that way. Right. And when the music stopped, you realize like, wow, I can carve my own path. I can get on my own lane. I can get on my own street. I can build my own car.
Right.
And so
yeah,
there's my response.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yes. Wordy? Good.
Wordy. Don't take you to school with folks.
Yes, it was good. That was good.
All right, so here's the question.
Okay.
What should dating look like if your intent is marriage?
Okay, because I was going to say everyone I think has a different definition of what dating means.
Okay.
So that's one. I think everyone has a different definition of what dating means. Or a pool of people, like, you know what I'm saying? So dating, and how I think dating is going out, spending time, getting to know each other, to build on something else. Or it could just be like, maybe we don't want marriage, but we're just, spending your time. And because also in dating, you can date other people, kind of thing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So the question is specific to marriage, right? The
okay.
Question is
right. But I'm just saying everybody has a different definition of dating.
Right. But what I'm asking is that if your intent is marriage, what should dating look like if your intent is marriage? So, because dating is very broad.
Right. It is.
Dating is very broad. So I'm trying to narrow this conversation. What should dating look like if your intent is marriage?
Okay, so if your intent is marriage, it should be going out, it should be talking, vocal conversations, like, not just, hey, beautiful, good morning, and then nothing until 10 p.m. No, it should be, now text world, it should be also conversations to get to know each other better, more in depth, spending time with each other. I also feel like if you dating, you should do one road trip to see if it's going to last. You need to add a road trip, a few hours in the car with each other to see if this is going to make it. But also, not dating a bunch of people. Like, I feel like
not dating.
Right. Not dating a bunch of people. You need to really hone in and spend the time with that one singular person, And then if you see, this is not going to work, then okay. But I feel like if you're dating a lot of people at one time and you're like, oh, I want to be married, but I want to date all these people, you only have so much time, and it's just like it's going to get diluted, so in synopsis, long story short, not sure. You're right, long answer. But basically, just really spending the time to get to know that person if you want to then go to marriage. Focus on that person.
Focus on that person.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you?
I'm sorry. Listen, all right. So I'm going to give my response to this, because I will say that after 7 years of marriage and just observing a lot of things around, again, understanding what it takes to be married, right? Like what that life is. There is a part of me that wonders if romantically dating before marriage is the right way to approach it. And here's why I say this. What's love got to do with this? Like, no, love has a lot to do with it. Gentlemen, read your word, okay? Hold on, this is my turn. I got the time now. Gentlemen, read the word. Love's got a lot to do with it, okay? But I say that in the sense of the feeling of love, not the verb love. Verb is an action, right? Love is an action. But the feeling of love alone, to me, is not what sustains you through a marriage, in my opinion. It is the decision and the commitment that you make that will allow you to endure. And the decision to love your spouse, to do the things that you are committed to do through love, being patient, not being, quick to anger, being slow to speak in certain scenarios, those are the components that if you're actively doing within a marriage, I think offers the space and the requirements needed and the nutrients needed in order to endure. I think dating, in my opinion, becomes much like the romantic piece has a lot more value, I think, after marriage, because I think that couples who lose the connection and don't grow the romantic connection during their marriage, I think it also can suffer, right? But and here's why I say after marriage, because you've made your commitment, right? So it's like, I'm all in, you're all in. And I think us opening ourselves in that way to fully explore who we are together for a lifetime, to me, is the model. And but let me just tie it back into why I believe that doing it beforehand creates a different kind of challenge.
Okay.
When you're smitten with somebody, you don't see them for who they truly are. You just don't. You dismiss things that are right in front of you that are glaring because of how you feel about them. And it happens time and time again. And it only applies in those kinds of relationship dynamics, right? Like you can have a friend who doesn't treat you the best, but because of the way you see them, you dismiss a lot of stuff. And people from the outside will say, wow, is that your friend?
Right.
It's like they seem to be putting you through the paces all the time. You seem to be overextending to them, and it doesn't seem to be reciprocated where people on the outside can see it. But because of how you feel about them, it's permissible.
Right.
Right? And I think a lot of times in relationships, when it's romance first, it creates this dynamic where there's a lot of stuff that's permissible that can't endure the test of time. And so you allow things to be part of the dynamic right up front, leading all the way into the marriage. And then all of a sudden you get to a point where it's like, this, I can't do this.
Right.
This I don't like. I've never liked it, but in this space, it was just like, I didn't even know what was happening, right?
Right.
So that's why I'm saying I agree with you in terms of how you get to know each other is paramount, right? Like creating the opportunities. Dating should be going out to do things together, right? Where it's, yeah, you may have some feelings, but the way you spend time with each other, it strips away the romantic piece, and it's more about like the tactical components of who we are and how we're meshing and how we're interacting. Like even if you decided to do a project together, or maybe you did a date and you went and did the what we did when we were like trying to get out of the room? Escape room. Like, right, things like that where it's like, oh, let's work together, where there's a point in time where you're not like, oh, but you're focused on a task at hand and figuring out what that relationship is like.
You're saying more like mind dating than like Netflix and chill.
Mind dating?
Yeah, like trying to get out of the escape room. You gotta think. You have to read. You're under pressure.
Under pressure.
So it's just like doing more things than just chilling.
Correct. But I also believe it's more than just the mind, right? Because you want to know how disciplined somebody is. Okay. And you can't do that just through conversations, right? There are a lot of talkers out there. But they're also doers.
That's how you got me.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a doer and I'm a talker, but there are a lot of talkers. So I think just to simply talk to somebody, you can still get game.
Right.
Okay. So you need to see somebody in action. Well, sure, right? Yeah. But you need to see somebody in action.
Right.
Okay? So that's why I'm saying it's more than just the mind.
Okay, so just to be clear, because like what I was also going to say was before, like I would say, before marriage, like I wasn't good at dating. Like,
okay, that's good to know.
I wasn't good at dating because I felt like I wasn't able to be nonchalant and laid back, and where it was like, oh, here's my representative. It was like always just me. Like where I'm just like giving all my focus, and some, you're not. I feel like in dating,
because it's a game. You couldn't play the game. Exactly, folks. You just heard it right here. She could only be authentic, and she realized people had a posture to it that like she never built that muscle to deliver herself differently than who she was.
Correct.
She was just like, this is me. And she knows that like what she's getting across from her is the package of a date experience.
Right. And
not the actual person. Like there's someone behind this that I know exists, but I know I haven't gotten there yet.
Correct.
But they're getting me right off the front, right off the bat.
Correct. So in your thought process is like, okay, you talk, you communicate, you hang out, you do activities like outside, not just chilling, right? I also think you need to throw in that travel piece. Again, it don't need to be a vacation, but even if it's, a drive to Baltimore, but just really just seeing that experience. Because, somebody may have road rage. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like travel helps to see what type of person you are with.
And maybe travel with friends for safety.
PSA.
Sure.
Right. Let somebody know where you're going.
Seriously.
Okay. Then you say, okay, I like this person. I connect with this person. I'm getting feelings towards this person. I can see myself with this person in the future, marrying them. They get married, and then you're saying put the romantic dating.
You focus on you emphasize the romance.
Romance
for the life of your marriage. Because here's the thing. Here's what's paramount. Not the feeling of love and the butterflies you get when you meet someone. Mm-hmm. It's whether or not you all cooperate well with each other. You're living with each other for a lifetime. If you all don't naturally cooperate well with each other, why would you sign up for it for a lifetime? But unfortunately, a lot of times we're not even considering that ebb and flow of how we operate. It's just like when I see her,
Right.
I'll risk it all for her. It's like, but you can't live like that.
Right.
And it's like you find yourself in a space where now you're resenting decisions because you've accepted something that's unacceptable to you.
Okay, so how detailed are you getting with that? Because just came to mind when you're saying you have to live with someone for a lifetime.
Correct. That's
where
the idea around marriage.
Okay, you have to live with somebody for a lifetime. So it's like, okay, when do you not start, I guess, nitpicking smaller things? Like, what popped in my mind when you're saying ebbs and flows of living, right? Somebody could be great. Everything could be great. And they go live together and you see he mixes the peanut butter and the jelly.
Right, it's conversations. But that's why cooperation is something you establish so that you know how to bring those things up.
Right.
Right?
You have to be able to talk to each other.
If you don't have a dynamic where you don't even know how to approach those matters, it means that that work wasn't done first.
That is true.
Those are the things that you need to find out. Like, hey, if I have to approach him about something that may be uncomfortable, am I comfortable approaching him about something that I think is important to me, may not be important to him, like whatever the case may be.
Right.
To your point, just even the small stuff, you gotta sweat the small stuff because it becomes big stuff in a lifetime. Right. Like you can't just
eat it.
Act like, it doesn't really matter, because it does matter.
Right.
And you want to be in a space where you feel like, hey,
right.
I gotta say this out loud. And I gotta feel okay saying it out loud.
Right, because then you eat it, and then years later it blows up.
Yeah, pass gas. A friend of mine passed recently that I went to high school with, went to middle school with, and it kind of shook a lot of us up because he died of, an event, but you can't say natural causes because you can either say he died of a health event. It wasn't something outside of his physical body that failed him, is essentially what I'm saying.
That would be natural.
Right, so I guess that would be classified as natural causes because it wasn't something outside of himself. And it woke me up in a real way just around the illusion of time. And I did put out a bit of a video just around the illusion of time and how it's it's crippling. Time is crippling. Think of everything that you haven't done yet, and the one reason you haven't done it is because you think you have time to do it.
Right.
How can it actually equals the non-action, the crippling of things.
I have so much.
And it's time is what destroys it, because you keep associating time with the ability to do it, and it never happens. Time is the worst kind of crutch because it fails you in the sense of you can't control it.
Right, and it's everybody knows you're not going to live forever, right? Everybody knows you don't know when your time will be. But so many of us, and I'm one of those people, so many of us I got time to do that later. Or I don't have time right now, I can push it off. And it's just child, if you don't sit down and do what it is you want to do. And I'm not saying I'm saying that hobby, reading that book, just taking the time to even jot down a plan to start to do, but don't keep pushing.
Today, not tomorrow, folks.
Right,
that's really has to be your mindset. Today, not tomorrow. And here's how I'll even drill it down to my own faith. The question was, what is a believer without action? So again, we're talking about time and what we put off. If I'm a believer, the only way, if I am a believer, it has to be demonstrated by my actions. It can't simply be by my words. Because what is a believer if there's nothing that the person is actually doing? How do I identify myself as a believer? It's it has to be my works that convey that I'm a believer,
Right.
And so faith, right? Faith is when you understand that the opportunity and the possibility of what you can achieve and accomplish, but without the actual action piece of it, it's dead. Faith without works is dead. And so I want us to understand that what kills the thing is time. Is our warped understanding of time is what kills our own belief in things, right? Because we're not actively, you got to walk out on faith. You got to do. And so I'm realizing, like, in my friend's passing, and realizing that time has been holding me back from accomplishing the things, the true desires of my heart. It's time that time is supposed to be presenting the opportunity. Time was holding me back because I'm thinking I always have it. I think I can always rely on it, so I don't have to utilize it. And yet, it's happening is time is escaping.
Right, time is escaping
without it actually coming to fruition, because those works haven't begun. And so I just want to leave that, you all, in terms of, the question is, what is a believer without action? What are any of us without the action? It's like, if there's just anything, talkers. We're just talkers.
Just talkers.
And there are a lot of talkers out there.
There are. Yeah. But I also feel there are more people, like, seeing that things aren't permanent. Life isn't permanent.
I think the pandemic has opened a lot of people's eyes.
Right. And it's just like, okay, one, how can I really do what makes my life enjoyable? You see more people taking walks, hikes, enjoying nature. It's just like, we really have to go back and, I'm a list person, but just like, okay, what is important? What are your goals? Like, what are your dreams and aspirations? Write it down. And then, like, okay, I always wanted to, not me, but someone may say, I always wanted to do a marathon, And it's like, okay, you always wanted to do it. Now, write down the steps. Take the steps to then register for that next marathon. Okay, train, do whatever you have, get connected in those groups, kind of thing, than just saying, you're on your deathbed, man, I never did that marathon, kind of thing, where it's just like,
well, you know what, I think in this season we're going to encourage people to get stuff off the wish list, man. Let's make, and it's like, even to the to-do list, it's like a done list. Right. Instead of a do list, let's look at a done list. So we're going to work on seeing how we can incentivize our community to get things done. So it may reward, FYI, our next Sam's Community Sixers outing is coming up November 12th.
Yes.
You can get your tickets right now on Eventbrite. Just check our Sam's 2 community page on Eventbrite.
Yes.
Only $38, folks.
Yes.
Playing the Pacers.
It was a good time last time.
It was a fun time. We had 130 people out there in the assembly room, so come on out and join us.
Family friendly.
And maybe, we put out a bit of a little contest. Where you can publicly offer something that you're pursuing as of today being October the 7th.
Yes, October 7th.
The game is on the 12th. Maybe coming up in November, we look at a winner potentially. If there's something that you can document that you started and you are actively doing and is done, maybe we gift you with a ticket.
Win a ticket.
Because there's so much power that we all have, and we just got to get up off the ground, y'all.
Right.
We gotta lift off with all the things that are in us to do, because that is what is going to give you the most inner turmoil at the end, is the things that you don't birth. Right. It's not going to be even what others have done to you in your lifetime. It's what you did not explore yourself, I think, is going to give you the most at the end.
And I was just want to mention, so there's a new show that I'm watching with the kids, and it came from the book Hair Love. And in the show, the mother she's battled cancer. She's now in remission, but she was like cleaning up, and she found her list, basically, like, when she thought she was going to die. And I know it's really deep, but it's a kid show, like, but she found her list, and she's like, man, I forgot I even wanted to do this stuff. And now that I have my health back, she just started tackling that list, like eating that list. Like, man, I wanted
What's
to.
the name of the show?
It's called Love Something.
Okay.
It's from the book Hair Love.
Okay.
But
that's funny.
But she's like, you know, basically in her house, like there were certain things she wanted to paint a wall in her room, and she's like, why can't I just do it? And she got up and she just did it, and it was done. Like, you know,
it's that simple.
And you know, she wanted to plant a little vegetable garden, like just on like the window sill, what do they call it, whatever. And she just did it. It's a cartoon, and it grew really rapidly, which is, I told Savannah that's not true. But it's just like the fact that it's like, just do it. Just do it. And if not, there are some people where they write that list, and the list just never gets done.
So like, there's no more for us. There's no more like, you know, we do those January 1st, we call them
resolutions.
Yeah, you know, like I'm none of that. You know, as I think I do. You know, as soon as I know,
don't hold it for.
There's nothing to hold for a point in the future.
Right.
At all. You know.
Right. You can work on your summer body now. Like, you know, you can have winter body.
In fallish.
You can have winter body. Like, you don't have to wait.
Right.
Like, you can, start now. Do now.
All right, Samantha. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Going back to our Sam's Community Connection cards. This one is called About Me.
About me.
Okay, we have various categories. This one is called About Me. What is the most sound advice you've received, and who was it from?
Oh, that's easy.
Oh.
My grandmother, well, we called her Big Mom. Okay, Esther. She said, never hesitate. So,
really?
Right.
That is never hesitate.
Right. So it's like,
we were just talking about time.
Right. So it's just like, when you're driving, don't hesitate, because you can cause an accident where you think you have. Don't hesitate. In life, like, you know, if an opportunity, you know, is presented to you, don't hesitate. Go on, you know. I mean, like, you know, she wasn't much of a traveler, but it was just like, if your husband say, let's go to Atlantic City, you better go to Atlantic City. Like, you know, so it was just like, don't hesitate. So I just always remembered
That's
that.
good. I wish we did this conversation 2 weeks ago, because I love that one. I do. I had an opportunity at homecoming recently, and my coach was there, and Mr. Ed Rush was there, and we're sort of out there tailgating at the game, and it was something in me just to walk up to those gentlemen, and I wanted to do a photo, and I hesitated. And then when I turned back around, they weren't there anymore.
Oh, no.
And so I reached out to Coach afterwards, let him know that, hey, he's like, oh yeah, we'll do it another time. And it's like, I believe him, but everything in me was like, that was the moment. You know, like, don't hesitate. Yes, I was having a conversation, but I saw them, it crossed my mind.
And you say, hold on. And
I should have just
did
so, folks,
don't hesitate.
That's a gem.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate. And y'all felt that, because I felt it. Yeah. I know y'all felt that one. Don't hesitate. That's even beyond, that's another layer in terms of just doing, right? Like, because don't hesitate, that's instinctual, right? There are things that happen to you instinctually that you blink.
Trust your gut.
Just trust your gut and go. And I think if you do that more of not hesitating, I think it'll help feed your ability to do and not put things off, right? If you start trusting your gut and like not hesitating just in practical day-to-day scenarios, I think it'll help develop that muscle for you to just be more action oriented as opposed to like tabling things for later.
Right. Yeah.
I like that. So for me, it comes from my mother. I'm going to say Romans 22:28. Remove not the ancient landmarks thy fathers have set. And you know, the way I've always interpreted that message from my mom is it's just like, remember who you are, remember where you come from, remember what has been instilled in you in all things. Don't move around this world in a way that doesn't convey that you are connected to something larger than yourself. You know, you're not an independent operator. you are part of a dynamic lineage and it carries power. And so move in that, and also be, I don't want to say bound, but guided by that, right? Like, don't do the types of things that aren't aligned with that lineage, and that heritage and who you are. Don't go off the rails. And that's not to say that don't dream big and don't pursue what the desires of your heart, because the desires of your heart is going to be connected. Like, that's the thing. It's forget not the ancient landmarks. It's almost encouraging you to explore the things that are deep within you, because those are also those ancient landmarks. But it also says, it also conveys to me, don't deviate and follow what the world is going to show you, because it's going to have a lot of shiny objects out there, and don't fall into that. Remove not those ancient landmarks, so that I will be able to observe if I'm off of the path, because I don't see any landmarks.
Right. That's good. I feel like that's good and that's deep. I feel like it fits for you, because there are so many that don't have like that lineage or that strong bondness, so I think it's beautiful, like, that you can go back to that. But there are so many that don't have that line of strength and like family. So that's a good one.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so folks, this was an enjoyable session that we had, and
We found
don't
out
worry.
dating.
Right.
So when you gonna take me? We're gonna go on a date.
Yes, we are, and we're not. You know what? Not tomorrow. Today.
Oh, okay. I will follow back.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Recap.
I might be the winner of the tickets. Yeah, we're everyone's eligible. All right. I'll show my work too. Okay.
Oh man.
So no, this is good.
So lastly, you need to laugh with your partner. Like, you have to be able to laugh with your partner.
Oh yeah.
You have to.
And that's why I think doing the kind of work where you can accomplish stuff together, I think, is what you need to focus on in that courting phase. I think courting before marriage is important, but romantic dating, I'm not sold on that being the recipe. I think courting is very specific. And I think courting, even interacting with each other's peer groups,
right,
is part of that courting experience, right? It's not like, hey, I'm vetting this person outside of everyone that is part of my life. No, they know who this person is, and they know why they are around,
See, now, we can't end, because with that right there, a lot of times, like, you are an enigma, okay? I feel like with the friends, you have so many friends from elementary, first grade, stuff like that. It is great, but regular people, normal people, don't have all those friends. And also, there are people that, and I can even speak from my, past, it's like, where you have friends, like, I don't have that many friends. I have a small circle, which is fine. But it's like, where it's like, oh, you can't have no guy friends. Like, even though you've already had them. So it's just like.
So how does that challenge what I was saying?
It doesn't challenge what you're saying. What I'm saying is, it's like bringing the person you're dating into your courting in your circle is good to see if y'all mesh well, right. And it should happen. But you find there are times where people date somebody and then they become just them two.
That's why I don't believe.
And then it's like when they get together, it's like, where all these friends come from?
That's my point. She's making my point for me, folks. Romantically dating is not, to me, the recipe for a successful marriage, because there are so many things you do when you are romantically involved, when that is the priority. that is not part of your normal behavior.
Right. You're like, oh, you were with me 24/7. Now we're together. Now we're married. You're like, 5 brunch.
Right.
Or bye, I'm out with the guys. And it's just like,
what guys?
Right. It's just
right?
like,
they're not used to sharing the time.
Right.
And so that's why I think that, but once you get married, now you guys can really focus on that bond and that romantic building, because what you've already done is accepted the foundation of who this person is. You understand their life environment. You met and operated around those people where like, okay, this works, and we still cooperate when we're around those people.
Right.
Which is also important. We are naturally cooperating, right?
You're right. Like,
did you hear that? Is this still being recorded? Okay, I'm sorry.
One time, folks, he is right, okay? Where it's like you have to show all aspects of your life, because when y'all are married, it can't be a pop-up of like, oh, I'm into this.
And that's why I think sometimes, a lot of times, the people we're supposed to, like, a lot of times I think, like, you've been around a person that you could have married in your lifetime. If we think about the relationships that just are natural and easy, like those are the relationships, that can potentially last the test of time. And then I think if you focus on like the values and like what a vision would be for a life, like those are conversations that are really important. And I think, but here's what I think we should do, folks. I think we should end now, because we can continue with this, right. And I think we should,
okay,
but at another time.
So another time, I think the next conversation should be arranged marriages.
All right.
Okay.
You know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll go live. So that we can get you all to participate in this, right? Yeah. Arranged marriages. And we're going to put it out there so that if you know somebody who's in arranged marriage, if you have like a lot of information or an expert on arranged marriages, we would love to hear from you, because it's just a conversation. We're just curious. So right. Arranged marriages, we're going to go live. We'll put that out there on a date next week. So stay tuned, folks. Okay. So until next time, folks.
Stay blessed.
Peace.